Hey guys, welcome to BroTalk. We're going to be talking about purpose, which is, in a sense, part two to the previous episode that we had talked about. Reason why we're making this is because there's so many different perspectives in life and things that we can continue to learn, and we want to share this with you guys. So thank you guys for joining. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and join in our conversation.
So this really is exciting. Uh, I didn't think that we would do a part two on this episode, but as you mentioned, I found so many different things. You found so many different
Yeah.
perspectives on or answers. Let's say answers on what is the meaning of life, and this is such an amazing question. And I'm excited to be doing part two with you.
Yeah, every time I start studying this, right? And we agree on maybe what you're gonna do and I'm gonna do if we're gonna focus more into theological, philosophical, psychological ways of viewing this. Um, it's very mind-boggling for me because I had never learned this. So
Uh-huh.
like the more studying that I'm doing, the more investigation that I'm doing and viewing how, different people could view life very differently.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like it's crazy, but uh it's a way of learning, it's a way of growing, so not only understand the way we can potentially view life but how others as well. But I know you went into a very interesting way of viewing life. You want to get into that?
Yes. Actually, last time I didn't have time to talk about this, but yes, today I'm going to talk about two different perspectives or mindsets
Okay.
and how people can use it
Mm-hmm.
to try to maybe help them find meaning in their life. Now, of course, some of these mindsets that I'm going to talk about, they have their cons, like bad things as well,
Of
but
course.
we'll go over it. So, I want to talk about, first of all, about utilitarianism, right? And it's
Utilitarianism.
known by John Stuart Mill in the 1800s. And
Okay.
he basically says that the meaning of life is all about happiness. It's about finding happiness for
Happiness.
yourself, but most importantly, for the greater number of people. That is the meaning of life. It's about making sure that it's about making sure
Mm-hmm.
that a ton of people are happy and there's less suffering for them. That's basically in a nutshell what's his philosophy. So yeah.
Is it making it like, I guess, happy through the words that you express to them or through the actions? Is it everything? What is
So
it?
it's a mix. It's like the things you're saying, the things you're doing, like what can you do today to make sure that more people or the greater number of people become happy and they're content, right? Like you basically made their life better. What are you doing now to make people's lives better? Less suffering. And that should be your meaning of life, helping others find happiness.
Okay, so basically it is talking about how you're basically living for others in a sense, right?
In a
Not
sense,
in
yes.
a sense, right? You do live for yourself, but living for yourself is living through the happiness of others.
Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, like your purpose in life is to help others. That's really what he's saying. Yes. And and
Interesting. I
and
feel
and
like,
go
sorry,
ahead,
sorry,
go ahead.
no, continue. No, no, no. So you go.
No,
I know, I know what I'm gonna say.
okay, so you got in your mind, right?
Yeah, I got it. I'm not gonna
All
forget.
right, keep it there, keep it there. No, but he basically argues, right, that the
Uh-huh.
ultimate aim of human existence is to not have pain, is to be happy, right? And for example, he says that individual happiness, your
Okay.
happiness, is intrinsically linked to the happiness of others. So what's gonna make you happy, Aaron, is making me happy. So I need $1 million. So it's gonna make you happy, Aaron. So help me get $1 million.
I don't know about
Right.
that. I'm joking.
So right, and so he says that actions are meaningful when they
Mm-hmm.
promote a collective. So when there's a group, when your action, something you do helps a collective, the group of people become better, then your purpose becomes bigger because it's all about giving. It's all about giving, right? You give one time, then they'll give back to you. So it makes them happy. You're happy. It just becomes like it's the circle. It's just a cycle and so forth. So yeah.
So I guess it's like a life of good deeds, right? You're constantly doing good deeds for your loved ones, and
Mm-hmm.
that's brings you happiness. I sometimes question how that brings you purpose. I could see how it could bring you happiness.
Mm.
I don't know how it would bring you purpose. I mean, you could find purpose in helping through others, I guess, right?
No, that's exactly what he's
That's
saying.
exactly what it is, right? Okay, so
That's
like that,
exactly, yeah.
I guess that could be either through family, that could be through charity,
Mm-hmm.
that could be, I guess, having an organization that helps maybe a specific group of people that suffer a certain problem.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, that's interesting. What I was gonna say before is just really interesting how all these perspectives connect. I don't want to go back to the previous podcast, but I feel like if I pronounce it correctly, utilitarianism
Yes, correct.
is kind of linked, and we were speaking about this off camera a little bit about stoicism, because
Mm-hmm.
stoicism, it's like you focus on yourself, you don't complain, but you do what you need to do to achieve
Mm-hmm.
without complaining, right? But
Yes, you
in
control what you have control over. Yes.
yeah, exactly. But at the same time, through stoicism, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Mm-hmm.
you are doing what you need to do not only for yourself but for others in a sense. So
Mm-hmm.
you kind of sacrifice yourself in a sense, because of such a harsh mentality. Therefore, you could bring happiness towards others.
Mm-hmm. So I would say so. I think the utilitarianism viewpoint is you don't look at it as you're sacrificing yourself. Don't look at it that way. Look at it like that is your purpose. That's why you're here. That's why you're here. You're here
Oh,
to help others. Now, Stoicism, I definitely see your point where it's like, tell me if I'm right or wrong what you're saying.
okay.
You're kind of saying like Stoicism, you're right, is not it's not about complaining. Whatever you have control over now, do that. Focus
Hmm.
on that because that's what you have tangible control over. So, are you saying that because we have control about helping others and creating this happiness, that's what we should focus on? Was that your connection? Tell me if I'm right or wrong and what you were saying.
Um, I feel like what I was trying to say, and if I just get a quick Google definition,
Yeah,
a person who can endure pain or hardship without showing their feelings, emotions, or complaining. Okay, so that's what being stoic means, right?
correct.
Endure hardships without um showing the feelings or complaining. And sometimes you endure these hardships
Mm-hmm.
for others, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes as a man, and you're trying to like provide for your family and things aren't going as well, and maybe you have to be a little bit stoic, you have to be like that rock towards maybe your wife, towards your kids. But at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, why are you doing it? Because you know it's for the greater good. You're doing
Okay.
it because you could not only, because you're providing happiness to others, to your family, having a
Mm-hmm.
roof, had them having a roof over their head, your kids having food on the table, is bringing everyone happiness, and that brings you happiness. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you can't show those emotions or those feelings, that either way you're finding happiness through doing that, but
Mm-hmm.
in the outside world or whatever you're doing, it's another harsh reality. But you're not bringing that energy that from the outside to the inside, because you're showing some type of stoicism, but at the same time you're bringing in a
Yeah, yeah.
utilitarian perspective inside the home, where hey, I'm doing this because this is also my purpose,
Yeah.
um providing that happiness towards my family, towards my
Mm-hmm.
kids. And that's what I think I was trying to say,
Mm-hmm.
how these are different perspectives, but they could correlate. I mean, I see it in my studying as well,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
was just
okay.
wondering, what do you think, if they correlate, or I mean,
So you're
everything has a similarity, I guess.
I think I understand more. So you're saying that basically if you have a utilitarian perspective and it's about helping others, you let's say as a father figure, you're bringing food to the table, you're being there for the wife and the kids, and you're being stoic about all this because maybe you're right. The reality is that you have to work a lot, you got to hustle, maybe you got a business, and you're
Yeah.
trying to do all this to bring, let's say, the physical needs of the family. So even though you have a utilitarian perspective on the my goal is to be this father figure and to give happiness to my family. But in reality, this is very hard. So I have
Yeah.
to be stoic about it and not
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
complain. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I mean, listen, it definitely, I mean, listen, stoicism is all about like virtue, right? Don't complain, focus on what you can and make yourself a better person. So yeah, I definitely see the connection. That's actually a very interesting connection of the stoicism and the utilitarian perspective. Now, I don't think John Stuart Mill connected them, but
Yeah. I don't think.
I like how you did that. Like that's very interesting. But of course, I wouldn't then say, and I think you would agree with me, I wouldn't say like, oh, I don't, because you have a utilitarian perspective and you got to be stoic, that means that you got to help out everyone, even the toxic people. And even though they might make your hairs go gray or bald, or they might make your life impossible, but hey, it's for the greater good, right? I wouldn't say go do that. Like you get to choose who you want to help, but
Of
the whole
course.
point is that
Yeah.
you're helping others, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I don't want you, because then if you start helping out all the bad toxic people, right, then you're gonna go nuts, right?
Right. Right.
Like, you know
I
what I mean?
understand. I understand what you're saying. I don't know if the utilitarian perspective is just to specific people or it's just an overall, because
Overall, it's
it's an
overall.
overall. Okay, so yeah, because sometimes when you're doing charity or stuff like that, you don't know who you're helping.
No, no, yeah, it's just
Everything's
overall.
anonymous. Yeah,
Correct.
yeah,
It's it's just overall, like the more people you help in your life, your purpose grows and you feel more connected. But I think it's very easy to talk about what's so good about it. But
yeah.
I think
Okay,
what's interesting is what are the bad things, or like the
interesting.
bad perspectives of utilitarian perspective. Could you think of anything bad? I'm just curious of any cons of utilitarian perspectives, right? Of like looking at it like that. I'm just curious. Could you think of one?
All right. It's. I mean, okay. Let me think quick. So it feels to me when you're
Yeah,
utilitarian, you're not very selfish. You are
correct. Yeah, you're helping others.
you're very, yeah, you're very generous in a sense. You're
Correct.
always helping others. The first thing that popped in my mind is you forget about yourself.
That's definitely that's definitely something like if you don't take care of yourself mentally and physically, you could forget about yourself and you can like
Right. You
degrade. That's
constantly
definitely yeah.
listen. I'm not saying I personally find more happiness in providing for others and seeing them happy than myself, but at the same time, you can't forget, yourself as well, because the moment you do, I feel like you could go a little crazy.
Oh yeah, and if you die, then how are you gonna keep helping people?
Yeah, exactly. So, but
Yeah.
is that what was on your list, or?
So actually, that was not on my list. That one was, but
Okay.
that's definitely a
That's
con.
just the first, yeah, thought that I had.
So I wrote a couple down. So
Okay.
for example, the subjectivity of happiness. Like, what does happy mean? For every person, being happy can mean
Yeah,
different.
it's so different. Yeah.
So, like, for someone having $100,000 a year, they're super happy. While someone else, it's a million. Someone else is having 2 kids. Someone else is having 8 kids. Again, I'm giving you like simple examples. But
Right.
what brings happiness to one person is very different from someone else. So it's like I'm trying to make all these people happy,
Hmm.
but measuring happiness is very difficult, very hard. It's not an objective thing. It's not like a scale, right?
Right.
Right. So it's like that's one problem I see with this, right? The fact that there is no objective way of measuring happiness makes it more complicated to for me if I'm trying to make if I'm trying to make other people happy, it makes it more complicated for me to make a decision, right, when it comes to how can I help all these people because I can't measure it and everyone has a different definition, right?
Okay.
That's one. Another one that
Interesting.
I thought of and I saw, and I think I read in a book, but I forgot which one it was, is that a lot of and again, I'm not saying always, but a lot of the times utilitarian perspectives really only focus on the result, on the outcome.
Okay. I like that one.
And I think you know where I'm going to go with this because
Yeah.
it can justify morally questionable acts. So, for example, have you ever heard of something called the trolley problem?
No.
Or so it's one of the most famous philosophical examples. It's like, okay, let's say you're the conductor of a train right?
Hmm.
And there's two paths. One path, someone is stuck on the road, right? And you're gonna kill him, right? But if you turn the wheel, the other path has 5 people that are stuck. So the question is it better to kill 5 people or one person?
It's better to kill none.
Now this problem. Now we're not going to talk about the trolley problem because this gets very complex, and you can add a lot of things to make it to make it
Yeah,
very
yeah, very
complicated.
like you add old people on one side, but one young person, like
Correct. Okay, so you got it. So it's like, whose life is worth more then, the older person or
yeah,
the younger person? And we can go
yeah,
back and
yeah,
forth.
yeah.
So a utilitarian perspective might, I'm not saying always, but they might say, well, you sacrifice one person to save more people. Obviously, right? You save 5 lives versus 1 life, right? But what if these 5 people, they're not doing anything with their lives, but that one person was, and that one person's going to be someone? Okay, there's so many ways of looking at it, right? But we're looking at only the outcomes for the greater good of the people. So then we can get into some shady things. Oh, so if it's all about happiness, what? Then if I'm trying to make these 100 people happy, do I have to do something shady? If I kill one person and it makes 100 people happy, right? Is that the way to go? Hey, if the whole point of utilitarianism is to make people happiness, is to make people happy. So you see where it can kind of go on the wrong road.
Yeah, yeah, I see, I see.
So like
I
if it's
mhm.
all about happiness, right? That's the goal. That's the main goal. Then you might have to sideline or put to aside the truth, or you might have to put away justice and other good
Interesting.
stuff. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I guess, and I think that gives us, which is a con, right? But that gives us a good reason on why everything cannot just be about happiness, because there needs to be like a justice part to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's happiness is also different. So
Correct.
I could see, like, now that you explained, I'm like, wow, like, especially giving that example, and you could add so many things to it, like, can't live everything through happiness, which I would say it is a con.
100%. And like when I was doing my research, I thought about this example. For example, if we look at a cult, let's say a very dangerous cult, let's say, right? Again, there's like hundreds of cults all over the world, right?
Yes.
Right. 100. They're real, no, legit, there's like 100.
No, I believe you. I know, I know.
They have like books on this, right? So for example, if a cult is spreading false information, let's say, whatever, politically,
It's getting
theologically,
interesting.
right?
Hmm.
But right, they're spreading false information, but and they're like lying to their members, but it promotes community
It promotes
and
happiness between them.
between them. Then is it justified or not? Right, but we're spreading false
Mhm.
information, maybe potentially harmful information that not only is affecting them, but maybe their family members or whatever other people. Is it justified?
Like fake news.
Correct. Fake news or whatever the case is. And we can even go this politically. If the whole point of a utilitarian perspective, and I'll end with this with this
Mhm.
perspective, if it's all about making people, the majority of the people happy, right? Like that's the whole point of this, right? Then we're going to prioritize the happiness of the majority. But then if
Mhm.
that means having the minority of the people suffer or die or something horrible, then is it justified? Can there be potential injustices? So like if
Yeah,
80%,
no.
so you see
Mhm.
where I'm going with this?
Yeah, like, how can I explain this? I feel like it's even rough to find a middle ground, right? Because the point is to make, as from a utilitarian perspective, as much as people you can happy, but that won't necessarily make everyone happy, and you have to live with that, because potentially you thinking that something is making someone happy is probably
Mm,
isn't, and it's an injustice for them, but maybe a justice for you, right? I could think
correct.
I can even think of an example, like,
Go ahead.
that's why I would say, you, I might go a little bit off topic, but see where
Okay,
I'm
go
going to
ahead.
connect.
Okay, go.
Sometimes in positions of leadership, right, it is hard to make decisions, or decisions are very important. I mean, decisions are important for all of us in our lives, but when you're making a decision not only for yourself but for a group of people, for a community, for a state, for a country, it's very hard
Yes.
because you're trying to make what's the best decision for your country, but not everyone's going to agree. You got to try to
Yes.
keep everyone happy, but that's not always the case. I
Mm-hmm.
remember, and this just happened. If I don't think you mind me mentioning it, but it's about a real life thing that happened maybe a few weeks ago. Our mayor in New York,
Mm-hmm.
um, they were like, "Oh," one of the reporters asked the question, and they were like, "Oh, are you going to do what's best for New York?"
Uh-huh.
Now, what were they talking about? They were talking about immigration, right? Because recently we had a new president elect, and Donald Trump is talking about how they're gonna like deport a lot of people that came to the Biden administration. And the reporter asked, "Are you gonna make the best decision for all New Yorkers?" And he
Mm-hmm.
asked, "Do all New Yorkers think alike?
Mm.
Do you
No, of
think
course not.
that
No,
do you
no.
do you think that me uh supporting the president is gonna be great for all New Yorkers or not? If I make this decision, there's gonna be I'm gonna be helping some, but at the same time I'm not."
Hmm.
So I say all that not to get into the nit and gritty stuff of politics or about the situation, but more about that response where like I'm sure he would love to make everyone happy or make the best decision for all New Yorkers, but that's not necessarily the case. And that I don't think will ever be necessarily the case.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't think maybe we could ever, as imperfect human beings, live in a utilitarian world because it would be kind
Mm.
of impossible. But that was how I
100%.
related it because being in positions of leadership is very hard to approach things from a utilitarian perspective because like you mentioned there's so many cons one way or another you're going to find injustice or unhappiness somewhere.
Well, correct. And again, this doesn't mean that this is all bad, but I think it's important that if someone this is how they think, you have to know the cons of if I'm trying to find meaning in life by
Right, let's
providing
go back to that. Yeah.
happiness, by providing happiness to everybody, right? You have to understand the cons of this utilitarian perspective. I think it's beautiful that you want to help others. And I do think that is a big component of why we're in this world. If we want to look at it theologically or non-theologically, we're here in this world to help others, to provide others, to give back, and so forth.
Yeah.
But just know that there
That's
are the
very
cons of that, and it shouldn't just be that. Again, this is just my opinion, based off my research. But
yeah.
yeah. But what about? I know you had another perspective. What was your perspective?
Yes. So my perspective is the complete opposite, right?
Oh no,
Um
thank you. I'm just kidding. What
so
was it?
it's nihilism.
Oh God, we spoke a little bit
And
about this
we
last
spoke a
time.
little bit about it in
A
the
little
previous
bit, a
podcast.
little
A
bit, a
little bit.
little bit.
Not, we
Yeah.
didn't go into detail about it, but sometimes viewing things a certain way could make you go into nihilistic views and perspectives. But we're gonna get to that.
Okay.
But what is nihilism? Well, nihilism is argues that life lacks inherent meaning,
Mm,
value, or purpose. Usually, nihilists believe that there are no objective morals,
mm-hmm.
truths, or goals, which obviously leads to like a rejection of traditional beliefs, of
Mm,
traditional values, and it often, in my opinion, it carries like a sense of pessimism,
yeah.
and especially about existence. So how can I hold on, I lost you here on Zoom. My bad. How can I put like an illustration so people can understand, which is very simple. The
Mm,
way I view nihilism was like a black picture.
okay.
You just imagine a portrait that's pure black, pure darkness
Okay. I'm thinking of it. Okay.
of a meaningless future. That's literally all nihilism is, in my opinion. It's
Uh-huh.
just darkness. Because you're coming at a point of view that I'm born in this world with no meaning, with no purpose, and you're approaching things from a pessimistic way. You're not even viewing it from an abs- absurdism way, which you try to find meaning one
Mm-hmm.
way or another. You're just, I would say, you're just stuck.
And you're
And
just
what
living.
you're just living to live at this point.
Mm.
Like you talked about utilitarianism, how it's trying to make everyone happy, and you
Mm.
find purpose in that. Well, the complete opposite is not doing any of that, and life has no meaning. Therefore, I shouldn't seek for a purpose. I should just live to live.
So I guess my question to you is, well, first of all, do you agree with this or not? And my second question is,
Of
do you
course not.
think that there are certain people who become nihilistic but are justified to be nihilistic?
Well, I believe, in my opinion, um, nihilism is like is a stage in life. I
Okay.
don't believe it's something you should stay stuck into. I don't believe it's something that um, you should continue to believe because nihilism, I feel like it has a lot of cons. It
Okay.
leads to a lot of psychological effects, which is feelings of despair, depression, apathy, and like
Mm.
difficulty to finding any type of motivation in life, things
And,
to do, right?
mm-hmm.
And how do we get to this stage in life, right? Well, I believe that this I mean everyone is different, right? How do we get here? Well, I believe it comes from a lot of subjective experiences that people tend to have. So if bad things happen to you, maybe a loss of a loved one, or maybe something personal happened to you where maybe you've gained some type of cancer, some type of illness that is really killing you, you become very nihilistic about the
Of
world.
course. Of course.
And all of this can come from a loss of societal, a loss of religious, or a loss of cultural values.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I would say, like, usually when unfortunately people tend to have a pessimistic v- life, I wouldn't call it pessimistic life, but let's say bad things happen to you
Mm-hmm.
and you feel like it's a constant and constant thing, it becomes very overwhelming. And like it becomes very overwhelming, you start to view life from a like nihilistic perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's but I would say it should usually be like a stage of life. Um, because I would say it's very overwhelming to confront like any type of vastness or
Mm-hmm.
emptiness of life or the universe.
So are you saying that maybe if like life is really hard on you and you're going through some tough things, it's okay that people become nihilistic because it's understandable because these are difficult things? Is that what you're saying? Or you're just saying it happens a lot to people, and maybe if they don't look at religion or they don't have a good support, they're gonna fall here anyway. Which one are you saying?
I feel like it can happen to both, right? Like I feel
Uh,
like when bad things happen to you, you get to fall into that.
of course.
And not everyone is going to, but I feel like lots of people can fall into that and not find a meaning in their own life just because continuous things bad things happen. But I feel like as you grow, as you mature, as you develop maybe new friendships or get closer to family
Mm-hmm.
or start to open your mind to other different perspectives, I feel like that nihilistic point of view dissipates
God,
eventually.
interesting.
And
Uh-huh.
but the person that hasn't been grown into religion or stuff like that, I don't feel like they're automatically just gonna land into nihilistic perspectives. I feel like um unless you live on the rock or like
Mm-hmm.
you've never interacted with nobody, I feel like it's very hard to maintain your whole life a nihilistic perspective. I'm not saying it can't happen. The exception is always available, but I don't feel like it's very common.
Hmm, interesting. I think based on what you're saying,
Hmm.
well, first of all, I've seen many stories of people who maybe were not raised religious, and then when something horrible happened, some people, you're right, they either become nihilistic or even further away from religion, or they actually go find religion or theology to
Right.
help them explain this away, and they become super religious. And then a lot of times, like, they'll get better. They will get better. They get out of the hard thing. They're like, see, it was God that helped
Right.
me, or right, that got me out of this bad situation, right? And I'm just curious, if you were speaking to someone who was nihilistic, they're going through a lot of hard things, what is it that you would tell them to get out of it? I mean, I know the Christian answer, or most Christians answer. I know some of the Jewish answers. I honestly wouldn't know what to say because I feel like it's very tough. But I don't know, what is it that you would say? Because it looks like you don't agree with nihilism, which I don't as well. But
Hmm.
what is it that you would tell someone that's maybe in that state of mind? I'm just curious if you have one. If you don't, it's fine.
Look for God. No, I'm joking. uh, no. They don't have to really believe in God. I would say that, listen, the meaning and purpose of life is what you make it to be.
Mm,
And the world that we live in is very ugly, and we struggle. But when we struggle, we learn and we gain new perspectives that are good or bad, and our free will determine our outcomes. Kind of like
mhm,
maybe the message I would try to spread, maybe, but keeping it neutral, where
mhm,
like bad things are going to continue to happen in life. That's just the realistic point of view of things, right?
mhm,
But we could change it for the good through our determination, through our decisions, and we can have better outcomes. And all, if you continue to do this, it could, or I would say will, lead to some type of purpose or some type of meaning in your life. If you just try to turn that around, or I would say give it a shot,
mm. Interesting.
because if you don't try in life, nothing is given. Everything is
Mhm,
earned, right?
mhm,
Even in the theological perspectives, nothing is given.
mhm,
Everything's earned. Therefore, like if you ask God, I want this, well, get to work, right? Show me
mhm,
that you want it. Same thing applies to even if you don't believe in God. You want something, well then go get it, right?
mhm,
So if you could just try the opposite. Sometimes they tell us, oh, I keep getting the same result on this, this, and this. How about you try something else?
mhm,
Try something else and see if it works. Just try it. That's kind
mhm.
of what I would tell. I don't know if it's a perfect response. Maybe it isn't. But I would say just try something different and see if that something different could give you some type of purpose, some type of fulfillment in your life.
Yeah, I don't think there is a perfect answer for everyone when it comes to this question. I was just curious what you were going to say. It's an interesting answer. Because you're
Yeah.
right. If they don't believe in God, but you start talking about God, it might offend them. It might push them further away. Or you start talking about God and they already believe in God, but they were probably already so nihilistic. They're already probably so sad of what's happening, right? Maybe some people need to hear more of a psychological or more concrete answer instead of more metaphysical. Some people is the
Right.
opposite. So I think it really depends
You
on the persona, and you got to kind of get a little idea of what they believe and don't believe in.
exactly 100% of the person. They believe in religion, you could talk about them through theological
Mm,
perspective. If they don't, then you have to like surpass that and ignore it. You have to think private psychologically, maybe philosophically,
mm,
perspectives, and maybe ask them what makes you happy, what makes you smile during
mm,
the day, and then break it down from there, right?
mm,
And then once you get an answer based on what they respond, then you could, expand into that. And because at the end of the day, whether I feel like they want to deny it or not, there are things that will make them happy. There are things that do give them some type of fulfillment. And if you're
mm.
able to identify it, you can expand from there and then give them like a route or a way where maybe they could you know, find
Mm.
a little bit of purpose in their life.
Interesting. That's definitely an interesting answer.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what to do. I think the best thing is just to be present with them in the moment and just help them whatever they need. And once you start getting better, then we could talk about that, because some people, they'll get so offended and sad. But listen, everyone to their own, right?
Yeah, to each their own.
Each their
I
own, yeah.
also was able to, because I mean nihilism, I feel like it's not that big of a topic. It's very simple. It's straight to the point. There's no
Mhm.
meaning. But there's also another perspective that's very similar to nihilism, but a little bit different, which is
What's it
what
called?
which is what I find very interesting in all these perspectives, where they all have very similar similarities, and I feel like they grab one thing from each other, but and then they differ,
Okay, so which one's this one?
just like religions, you know. But we'll get
Hmm.
into that. It's called absurdism. I believe I'm
Absurd.
pronounced
Okay.
absurdism. I believe I'm pronouncing it correct. I don't know. But it's closely related to existentialism, which we did talk about last podcast.
Yeah.
Basically, it was articulated well by this guy called Albert Camus, which also talked about existentialism.
He's very famous. Yes.
Very famous. And he suggested that life is inherently absurd because humans strive for meaning and purpose, but the universe offers none of that.
Mm,
And the conflict between these human desires and the universe and indifference is the absurd.
the absurd. Yeah.
Unlike nihilism, absurdism encourages embracing the absurd and continuing to live with this awareness, which I find very interesting because existentialism is also, you know, no meaning in life, but you make it. You make a
Correct.
meaning, right? Because you have individual freedom, you have choice, and the search to for the meaning of life, uh, regardless of the observed or indifferent world that we live in.
Hmm.
So that's what I found interesting. What else did I write about? Give me one second.
No problem. And we'll talk about this a bit.
I feel like absurdism is similar because it is a meaningless life, but it's more optimistic on the outlook of it. So
Hmm.
despite the similarities it has with nihilism, it encourages some type of creativity, some type of personal meaning making, and I guess it focuses, regardless of the absurdity and the meaningless of the universe, it focuses on how you respond to it.
Yeah, because basically what Albert Camus, right? That's what he's really saying. Albert Camus is basically, listen, we as humans, we try to find meaning in life, but the universe doesn't really give it. So whatever you find in meaning in life, go follow that. Go follow the
Yeah,
absurd, because the universe is not going to give it back to you. Right.
which I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
people live. I feel like
What do you mean?
a lot of
What
people
do you,
live that way, like
like unconsciously? You're saying?
unconsciously,
I mean,
right?
I'm
Because
sorry, subconsciously, subconsciously.
yeah, subconsciously. Sorry, because nihilism, absurd,
Absurdivism.
absurdism, and existentialism. Either way, existentialism has a little bit part that's Christian. All
By Kierkegaard. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. But all these three ways of the perspective of it, all these I believe come from atheism
More
or
atheistic tendencies. I mean,
more
except
atheistic tendency.
because Kierkegaard was not an atheist. But he made
Yes,
existentialism more Christiany, like combined. You're
more
right. You're right.
Christiany, but um, I believe, however, started all these are atheistic perspectives or relate well with atheism, right?
Oh, yes.
So that's why I find it interesting, but I feel like a lot of people live this way
Hmm.
subconsciously because they're like, I'm an atheist or I'm an agnostic,
Hmm.
and I don't know if the world, if there's meaning to it, or maybe there is,
Hmm.
but I'm not really going to focus on that. I'm just going to focus on what I can make of it.
Hmm. Interesting.
So
I
maybe
definitely.
they
Yeah, yeah.
reject the belief of God, or maybe they don't, or maybe they're just they're wondering, or maybe they're ignorant to it.
I think there's a lot of not hidden messages. I'm sorry, that's the wrong term. There's a lot of not clear answers, right?
Hmm.
So for example, religious people, right? A lot of, like, let's say a lot of different nations and religious people, it's like, okay, yes, I worship God and I'm gonna do what God wants, but it's like, what else is my purpose, right? And like, there's no clear answer, or there's so many different answers to that. So people are like, they get confused, and it's like, all right, so let me focus on me, on me, on me. And you're right,
Hmm.
subconsciously they start following the absurd, right? But now, of course, absurdism doesn't go along well with theology, because he's basically saying like, the universe, there is no meaning.
Yeah.
Religion, theology is like, there is meaning. It's about following God and doing what He wants you to do, because there is something bigger. There's a bigger plan, right? But there's so many different answers that people get confused, and they don't know which way to go. So they try to maybe do both at the same time, or they get convinced more one way or the other. So it gets very hard to choose. But I definitely agree with you that most people are just trying to, it's like the Gary V tactic. Like, go do 50 things, see what works out, and whatever you like and whatever you find out that you're good at, or you want to do and you enjoy, go do that. Help other people in that field, in those paths. And I actually don't think it's a bad piece of advice. I don't think so. In my opinion, of course, this is not the ultimate way to find meaning. It is
Yes.
a way of finding meaning. I would even say all these perspectives, you could take something from them and learn something from them.
A
But
100%. Yeah.
100%, is it the ultimate? In my opinion, no. But these are good ways to help guide you to answer the question how to find meaning in life. But what I've noticed, and I want to hear what you have to say on everything you've mentioned, and maybe even right, like the nihilism, existentialism, absurdism, right? There's a lot of there's pessimism, but
Hmm.
believe it or not, pessimism can actually, when pessimism and all that stuff can actually help people find meaning in life, because it creates urgency. Do you know what I mean? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Somewhat, yeah.
Pessimism can create urgency, and when there's urgency, you take action, and when you take action, it can help you go find meaning in life.
Gotcha. I mean, do you think it will do it in the most healthiest way? Because
It,
sometimes,
interesting
because
question, huh?
sometimes in life, right, we don't have something, and it creates some type of urgency, and
Mm-hmm.
we go get it. But
Mm-hmm.
do we go get it in the most ethical way? Some people, yes. Some people, no. Right? It does create that urgency,
Mm-hmm.
which is good. It's good to have that urgency of finding to get whatever it is, or the ambition because of something you lack,
Mm-hmm.
though that want. But my question was like, is it like always ethical?
There's definitely good things about it and bad things about it, and that's actually the
Okay.
next point I wanted to bring up,
Okay.
which was something called the. But wait, is there anything else you want to mention about the absurdism?
Um, no, I was just gonna mention how it's I did write this down. When I was like studying all this, I was like, it's very interesting how people could think like this.
Mm-hmm.
But in this secular age of time, I feel like it's understandable, because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like religion to a certain extent has lost its ground. Not as before. In ancient times, um, years years ago, we're talking about like centuries ago, religion used to be more of a stronger thing around
Mm-hmm.
the world. But like it's lost its ground, I would say. A lot of people could relate to these type of perspectives in life and find fulfillment in them. So that's just what I thought.
Hmm. That's interesting. I don't know if I would 100% agree. I think things have just changed now, but I would say there are maybe certain countries or cultures that religion
Maybe
has gone down.
America, just because that's kind of
America is a religious country. Most people in America are religious.
really.
In America. But if you look at Europe, let's say certain countries in Europe, you're right. Religion has gone down.
Gotcha. Okay.
Religion has gone down. The way of thinking of God has gone down. Traditional value, like all that stuff has gone down 100%. Um,
But what were you gonna say? Sorry.
Maybe we should definitely do a podcast on why those things have happened in certain countries and not others. Maybe for another episode. I think that'd
Yeah.
be I think that'd be interesting. Um, no, because you mentioned pessimism, so it
Yeah.
reminded me of the last thing I want to talk about, which was the apocalyptic mindset. An
Okay.
apocalyptic mindset, which, by the way, has a theological background, but it also has a modern, non-religious perspective as well, right? So we
Okay.
can look at it both ways, right? Because you mentioned pessimism, and it reminded me of, because like these things you were talking about, they're very pessimistic, and even you said it. It's very pessimistic.
Yeah.
Life has no meaning. It's black. It's darkness. Just do what you got to do and figure it out as you go. Correct?
Correct.
Right. Okay. So for example, the apocalyptic mindset is a couple things. It's very pessimistic. It's
Okay.
very dualistic, and and they're always talking about a huge, gargantuan a huge catalyst event that's going to happen. And I'm going to explain what this all means, right?
Okay.
So for example, the apocalyptic mindset, right? And I'm just going to bring in a little bit of religion, a little bit, but I really want to focus on the non-religious part. But for example, during, for example, when people ask me,
Mhm.
right, and you know this, I'm very much into like religious history, especially about Christianity and
Yes.
Judaism.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm into that. People always
He's
ask,
a
okay, who,
scholar. Sorry.
maybe in my future I'll go back to school and get another doctorate. Who knows? I already have one, but maybe I'll go back and get another one. Who knows? Depends how much money and how much time.
Yeah.
But a lot of people always ask, who was the historical Jesus? Historical Jesus, right?
Okay.
And one of the answers that historians give is that Jesus was an apocalyptic Jewish preacher who was talking about the kingdom of God is going to come, but the Jewish people had to repent now because it's coming right now. And if you don't come, the evil forces are going to get you, Satan's going to get you, and so forth. That's called an apocalyptic message, right? Because at the time of Jesus, before Jesus, during Jesus, and after Jesus, there was different sects of Judaism that were breaking off, like Torah or rabbinic Judaism. They were
Yeah.
breaking off and forming their own groups, and they were very apocalyptic, saying like the end of the world's gonna come, the kingdom of God is gonna come right now. Repent, or else the Satan or the evil forces are gonna get you, right? And that is how eventually Christianity, that's how Christianity got its apocalyptic tendencies, because of the historical faction of what was happening. Okay, so now that I said that, the Hebrew Bible, for the most part, has a very non-apocalyptic. Now, some books are apocalyptic a little bit, but it's
Mhm.
mostly non-apocalyptic. So the way that you're good with God is you need to change. You need to change, and it's about your relationship with God and so forth. And it wasn't talking about Satan is going to get you and destroy you and he's going to tempt you. None of that stuff. Those ideologies come way later on, and it's not in the Hebrew Bible. They come from these little Jewish factions that broke off and started thinking different things. And
Mhm.
they got it from the Greeks and the Romans and so much other stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
now that I said all that, right?
Yeah.
So apocalypticism, and we could talk about that in today's day. For example, people that are really into climate change, right? You probably met these people who are like, guys, the earth is heating up 10 degrees every year. In the next couple years, if we don't do something, the world's gonna explode and we're gonna die, and the ocean is warming up and the plants, the animals are gonna die. We're gonna die. Now, I'm not saying that they're lying. I'm not saying that, right? But
Well.
well, I know you don't believe in that too much. Right. I've seen the evidence go for both ways, right?
Yeah. There's always perspectives for both sides, but
Like
yeah, continue.
I've seen people talk about like how they're exaggerating, and people say how true it is, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
the same thing with politics, right? About maybe a certain bill or a certain president and so forth, right? Okay.
There's perspective for both sides. You got to choose which one you're gonna believe. That's it.
Well, we should go to where the evidence shows, to where the data
Of
shows, right?
course, of
That's where you should
course.
go, right?
But
Um,
unfortunately, both sides have some type of fucking data. So like,
That's true, but then you have to examine both and then see which one has the more truth. And
yeah, and
like,
then
again, it gets complicated. But
yeah,
a lot of these modern movements
yeah,
have an apocalyptic mindset, and having apocalyptic mindset can actually help people find meaning in their life or find their purpose in life. How so? Right now, for
I'm gonna write
example,
something down. So no,
no,
keep
no,
going.
you write down as I'm talking, and then
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you'll let me know. For example, one of the things about apocalyptic mindset is that apocalyptic mindset,
Mm-hmm.
because there's urgency, it creates action, right? If we don't change, if we don't help the climate, we're all gonna die. So
Mm-hmm.
the urgency is, oh damn, we're gonna die. We got to do something now. Now there's something called, and I learned this in Psychology 101. I took a class
Oh
called
wow.
Psychology 101
Wow.
when I was at Kingsborough Community College in
Uh-huh.
Brooklyn, New York. And they spoke about something called the prospect theory, where basically it's people are going to respond a lot stronger to a threat. I'm sorry, people are going to respond a lot more strongly when there's a threat or a loss versus a gain. So
Of
if
course. Yeah.
you're being threatened that you're gonna die or or your country is going to blow up,
Mm-hmm.
versus someone tells you, but you can win $10,000 or $50,000, people are going to react stronger to the death or to that your country is going to go down the drain. So
Mm-hmm.
because urgency creates in the human being FOMO, which is the fear of missing out, or that we're going to lose something valuable. And that's where this prospect theory comes into play, into the human psychology.
Yeah.
So if you have urgency in your mind, that gives you the fear-based motivation to go. So if you're thinking, man, I don't know what I'm doing in life, I gotta fix myself, or else I'm gonna die young, or I'm gonna whatever excuse, whatever you tell yourself, the fear is gonna make you go into 100 miles per hour, and you're gonna go take an action, whatever the action is, to go find meaning in your life. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
that's number one. Number
Okay.
two, and if you want to say something, just let me know, okay? Um,
I
the
was
pod, yeah, tell me.
no, I was just gonna mention the same thing you were because you ended up mentioning it, how it creates urge. So I guess having an apocalyptic view of things
Yes.
could create urge more, especially more on loss than gain. If I, meaning, and I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt your second point, but I just want to say it quick.
Yeah, tell me.
If I gain $1 million,
Yes.
I'll be super happy. And I probably won't be thinking about maybe securing, having some type of security in a
Mm-hmm.
sense, because I need to protect the money I got. I need to protect my family because I'm not under threat,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't feel like I'm under threat because I've
Uh-huh.
just gained something. But someone who has uh, lost, maybe, or has gotten threatened, takes action immediately because I
Yes.
feel like it's naturally the urge of someone once we're losing or once our life is in danger or once we can't put a roof over our head or food into our stomach is when we start acting. Rather than when we gain, it's very easy to stay comfortable, which is
Mm.
why I would say this could be a pro.
Yeah,
What do you think?
100% of 100%, it could be a pro.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
because it's kicking you into motivation. Now, I think what you're trying to say is that motivation always healthy, you know, to have a fear-based motivation.
Yeah, like I believe it's healthy because as much as you want to stay comfortable, no matter how good you are doing in life, always realize that bad could be right around the corner,
Which is true.
right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I live by the expression, hope for the best, expect the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Or expect the worst and hope for the best.
Mm-hmm.
So even when good things happen, be prepared. Still have that same urgency. But
Mm-hmm.
having this apocalyptic point way of seeing things, I see how it could create urgency, especially on loss and on gain. But I want you to continue.
Well, no, 100%. And a lot of times people have an apocalyptic mindset but they don't realize it. It's subconscious. What I'm saying is that maybe sometimes you need to take an apocalyptic mindset, apply it cautiously to your
And
mind,
make it conscious. Yeah.
and go figure out what you need to do in life. Go find that meaning. Now, another component of a apocalyptic mindset is, focusing on moral clarity, but also focusing on the collective, in the group, in the bigger purpose, right? So, for example, if someone is part of a humanitarian project, like let's go help kids in Africa build homes, or let's build schools for them, or let's get them water, or help them get rid of malaria or tuberculosis, whatever disease or whatever the case is, right there, the apocalyptic mindset is like, hey, we need to do this now. The urgency is there, because, or now else they're going to die. They're not going to be able to learn. They're not going to have water to drink. So they're going to die, or they're going to lose something, right?
Right.
And then the apocalyptic mindset then pushes you to like, okay, I need to take action now. This is what I'm going to do. Why? Because I believe in the bigger collective purpose. So, like, for example, all these groups of Jews, like Jesus and Paul, their whole thing was like, the bigger purpose is what? God's kingdom. It's coming. It's around the corner, right? They believed that God's kingdom was around the corner. Paul was telling people, don't get married, don't have kids, because the kingdom is coming. So what's the purpose? And so forth, right? So people can have that, like, hey, listen, I need to take action now. I'm gonna lose something. I'm gonna lose my life. I'm gonna lose my freedom. I'm gonna lose this. What's the collective purpose? What's the bigger purpose here? What am I trying to achieve here, right?
Hmm.
And what you mentioned, right, it reminded me of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where it's like, psychologically, after our basic needs are met, like food, shelter, sex, water, and all that stuff, after we have that as a human, we then start to look for identity and self-actualization. Like, what am I doing in this world? Who am I really? What should I do? Right? But we
Yes.
need to have those basic things met first, and then we can focus on the other ones, right?
Right.
Then we
Right.
can believe in and start to work towards a collective purpose. That's why a lot of these people that work on these projects or have these mindsets, they have meetings, they come together, they rally each other up, they support each other. Why? Because they have this apocalyptic mindset that's helping them unite them. They have a shared mission, and they have a goal to go achieve that. And what I'm saying is that whatever perspective a person decides to take, hopefully not nihilism or the more pessimistic ones, but whatever, which one they decide to look at or study, listen, whatever one you choose, maybe take a little bit of the apocalyptic mindset, put it into you to help you motivate to get there. Like at the gym, right? You want to get big muscles, so you're gonna press the girls. I want to press the girls now. I need to
Hmm.
take action now. There's an urgency now. Now, of course, that's at a much lower level, of course, but I think you understand my whole point. There's definitely bad things about it. Like nihilism creates depression, anxiety. This can also create depression, anxiety, and all these horrible emotions, right? That can come into you, right? And what people also, for example, I have another one here.
Hmm.
Um, Give me a second, right? Or maybe it creates so much fear that people get paralyzed. They don't know which way to choose, or how to take action, right? People might become too extreme, because this apocalyptic mindset can sometimes push people to the extreme. And for most things, extremism is not a good thing. You want to be
Yeah.
in the middle, or it can create short-term thinking that benefits the now, instead of long-term thinking that promotes the benefit for later on. So, what do you think?
I think it was great everything you mentioned. Actually, you read my mind. Um, because you mentioned how we could grab a little bit of the apocalyptic point of view and add it into our lives, and maybe create this sense of urgency that we might need, right?
Yes,
So I know we've mentioned before how all traits are good and bad. It just depends how you use them,
correct.
right? So I believe slightly these perspectives could be like those traits, and what I mean by that is we could look at all these traits and probably not believe in them completely,
Mm-hmm.
but grab the good from it and add it to
Mm-hmm.
our lives. The apocalyptic, the utilitarian, the existentialism way of viewing things,
Judaism, Christianity.
Christianity, Islam, so many different religions. I don't know about nihilism, but maybe I'm closed-minded on that. But we could grab from literally everywhere and use it, and create, live. When it comes to this certain thing, live this certain way. When it comes to this, believe in this perspective. And maybe we just don't just focus on all in one, but maybe there's like multiple factors. What do you think?
I could definitely see both sides. I mean, I think that for most people, they're not going to be able to have so many different mindsets in their head because of cognitive dissonance. There's too many, maybe because like, how can someone be nihilistic but then believe in God, right? Or how can someone believe in absurdism, existentialism, but then it's like, oh, but I also believe in a creator, right? So they could either contradict each.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying all of them. I'm not saying all of them, but they could contradict, and maybe all these contradictions can make people like just give up and be confused. But I would agree with you that if you took a little bit of the best parts or just did different ideas, you took them together, if it's
Yeah.
philosophical, theological, scientific, psychological, you get a little bit of everywhere, you put them on the table in front of you metaphorically, and you examine and you investigate. You say, which one will work for me? What am I trying to accomplish here? And actually take action, as we said in as we said in 2 episodes ago, where it's like how to take action or how to find purpose in life, the meaning in life through actions. I think if a person is doing that, but also at the same time investigating different mindsets and ways of thinking, perspectives, I think a combination of both put together can definitely help that person find meaning in life.